Hey everyone, I'm Carter and welcome to the Nancy Drew Times. I'm beyond excited because this is my very first Nancy Drew game review and I'm kicking it off with the very first game I ever played. Realizing that I have a lot of nostalgia linked to my first game, I had to set aside my bias to accurately review this game to its full capacity. So, I sat down, got my laptop out, and started listing out all the topics that were important to me in these games. I'll pop them on the screen real quick. Of these 5 pieces, they all have to work together to create one cohesive and thrilling experience for the game player. I want to dive into each section and give my thoughts on how Her Interactive uses these items to form game number 9, Danger on Deception Island. I want to talk about the setting and environment, and this is a really important part of the game because this is what immerses the game player into the Nancy Drew universe. So I think why the game excels so well in this area is because this game is set in Washington State, and this is the same state where Her Interactive offices were based at. So the team was really able to look around them and incorporate, elements from their own home into this game. And I think that's why it works so well, is because, there is an actual, whale museum. They did kind of base this off the San Juan Islands, and I think that that's why it does such a good job at making it feel all so real, is because it is real, and they do such a great job at incorporating those little details to make you feel like you are in a small town. And I love that, as soon as you get there into Snake Horse Harbor, it's foggy. It's eerie. Even, Nancy comments that on the introduction of the game, is that, it's really foggy and eerie, and I really enjoy that kind of they're pulling you into that. They want you to feel like, ooh, this is kind of spooky, like something's gonna happen, and they do that throughout the game. I love that, we're introduced to the caverns and the tunnels underneath the town. That just, again, that someone, and that's actually where, when I first played the game, that was probably like the creepiest location to me, was where the tunnels. Because, once we were able to explore through the tunnels and open them up and see that someone's been down here. Some people have been going down in these tunnels, burglarizing these stores. I immediately felt creepy. I'm like, I'm in a dark tunnel, underground, no one knows I'm here, and who knows, at any point someone just may pop out and come get me. So I definitely felt that kind of eeriness throughout the game, and I think that was well done with everything they were trying to display. And the environment is so warm, even though it's really eerie and foggy. Something about being in a small town, like I'm gonna bike to the Hot Kettle Cafe, like that environment's very relaxing and warm to me. Going to Well World is so magical and it's just so quaint, because it's a small town, and I think they just really did a great job of creating an environment where people can feel attached to it by playing the game. I still remember the locations. Actually, I was having this conversation with another indie fan, where it's so true, these games that we developed a connection with, we remember so well. Like, I can close my eyes and picture myself back at that place. I can close my eyes and remember the entire layout of the town of the game, because that's how immersive it was. I can remember it to that degree. So I think setting an environment couldn't have been better. Phenomenal job in this game, and there's really nothing more to say about it other than it was an excellent job. Now I want to dive into characters. So I will say that Danger on Deception Island doesn't have the most exciting display of characters that the game series has ever had, but I do think that Danger on Deception Island does have a cast of characters that works. And the reason why is because Nancy is in a small town, and there is a lot of clash between the characters because they're all torn on a political issue. And I love the beef that everyone has with Katie in the town. It's very believable, it's real, and I like it. I can totally see some of these characters being 100% real. Like, Holtzgatto exists out in the world, I just know it. And there's a ton of them. And I don't know, like I think the characters do a great job of expressing just real emotion. I enjoy that they are very frank and honest and real about how they feel on issues and how they feel about the people that are in the town. It just gives a really sense of this is real. These characters are in a real town. And if that can connect you to that, then I think it does a great job. And still to this day, I can remember all of the characters' first and last name from this game because it just works. I will say Andy Jason probably has to be one of my favorite villains from the Nancy Drew universe. He's just so evil, and something about like at the end, you know, I was always so creeped out when he was like, "Say goodnight, Nancy." I don't know why, but that always like creeped me out, and just he has this really weird, just like his like, whole mouth just goes away. I don't even know, but it's just he's evil and scary to me, and I can totally see him being like an evil mastermind, kind of just he's like just driving everyone to do all his dirty work. So something about him, I thought he was a great villain. I enjoyed the phone characters. There was Casey Porterfield and Dr. Predavici. Did I say that right? Dr. Predavici. Yeah, Dr. Predavici. So they were also really fun to talk to. Casey Porterfield for sure. I think he just isn't. I think this is the one where he has a hearing problem and he really can't hear anything, and like Nancy's just trying to repeat it on the phone. That's really funny and amusing. But yeah, no, I like all of the characters' influence into the story and how they all affect each other and just how they all work cohesively together. I think that this game does a pretty good job of implementing a great set of characters. Even though they may not be the most exciting, I do believe they are some of the most honest characters of the series. And you know what? Speaking of Andy Jason being the culprit in the end, I maybe need to do a video series on that where I rank my top favorite villains from the Indy series and my top least favorite. So that may be a video in the future, so stay tuned for that. But onward to the rest of the review. Next up, I want to talk about the game's puzzles. So this is also a really important factor when it comes to these games because it's a game, so like it has to have really fun puzzles, or interesting puzzles at least. I will say this is probably to me where the game falls the most flat. The puzzles in this game are not as exciting, and they're not. There's not a whole lot of challenging ones either. Just thinking of some of the puzzles, I mean, there's the chess puzzle from Holt Scotto. You've got to do like his Harbor Master quiz. Jenna Dublin's, you have to open up that like case where you have to like match all of the things to get Hilda's gift, the necklace. You have to put together the dinosaur bones again. Yeah, like there's not a lot of puzzles in this game, and even when there is, they're almost kind of like, yeah, that's how I feel about it. Like, oh yeah, I have to go through 3 levels of matching random cauliflowers and cucumbers. You know what I mean? Like that's just not what that's just not what I was looking for in the game. But I mean, I still love the game. I think maybe probably some of my favorite puzzles were and while we're on it, don't get me started on the clamming. Clamming to me was like, what's the equivalent of clamming? It's like getting bugs in Ghost Dogs of Moon Lake. You know what I mean? Like, doesn't matter what I do, the clam won't come to me. So clamming to me, that was a fun puzzle. I don't know, honestly, I don't even know if I really. And then the wood oh. Everyone take a moment and just breathe. Because the wood puzzle to me, that had to be my least favorite part, because I always get it wrong. I don't know why. Objective questions like that, where they're like, how would you describe this piece of wood? Well, it's like art, you know, like to me this piece of wood is abstract, and I think, you know what I mean, kind of thing. But yeah, no, I always get it wrong, and I always get it wrong, and I have to do that puzzle on Nancy's laptop, and then I have to wait 20 years to call back and be able to go through the process again. So that's never fun. I think honestly probably one of my favorite puzzles in the game is like putting the books back in the shelf, doing the pipes. Yeah, I mean there's not like these puzzles are not like, oh, and I like the Whale World. Whale World's one of my definitely one of my favorites, because I just love that. It feels so real, and I enjoyed doing the little mini games in the Whale World, and that was fun. But yeah, not a lot of enticing puzzles in this game, but I think where the puzzles lack, the story and the characters and the overall mystery make up for that. So yeah, that's how I feel about the puzzles. So let's talk about the story and the mystery. This to me is like one of the most important parts, you know, how intriguing is the storyline and the mystery. We're playing a mystery game, so it has to be pretty thrilling and exciting. So to me, I love this game's mystery, and I think what it does right is that it starts off with a very good hook. You know, just like any good story, you want it to kind of draw you in, and I think this one does. You know, the game plays off that there is no mystery, right? At first, you know, Nancy's just going to visit one of George's friends, and she's going to go on a whale watching tour. And as soon as she gets there, her and Katie are walking towards Katie's boat, and they get there, and the whole place has been ransacked. It's been completely turned upside down with this threatening note, and that is just immediately drawing you in. And you feel like, why did this happen? Who did this? What was their motive? Why would they do this? And, you know, Nancy starts to kind of investigate a little bit further on Katie's boat, and she's uncovering things like, oh, and they damaged your pipes, and oh, they just threw all your books out. And it's just really enticing to have that as an introduction to the mystery, because you want to know why, and you want to keep digging into it further. So I think the just overall beginning of the story is great and excellent, and draws in the game player. And as you progress throughout the mystery, you begin to uncover not just, you know, details that are important to the mystery, but also details of things that happened in this small town in the past. And I absolutely love when the game kind of links past historical mysteries to present ongoing mysteries. I think they always did a great job of that. And again, that just is like storylines interweaving, and it just works. But I love that in Danger on Deception Island, you are progressively like exploring more about the town. I love that you know, there is more to the Hot Kettle Cafe than when you first went. There is more to the lighthouse than when you first went. There is more to kayaking than when you first kayaked. You know, things begin to progressively unfold that you didn't know were there. And I love when that happens in the games. It's so exciting. You're just like, whoa, this place that I was once at now just got 10 times bigger. And you're just so excited you want to explore more. When the first time I sat down and I found those secret passageways in the Hot Kettle Cafe, I was like, oh, whoa, hello. And the tunnels kept going and going and going. And that was such an exciting part of the story, the mystery. But I have to talk about the ending to this game, because the ending of this game is incredible. I will never forget the ending of this game. It was so just like adrenaline running. You can feel the pressure and just the stress of the importance of, I've got to catch this suspect. And you know, the whole idea of it's dark, it's foggy and eerie out, you know, in the water, and you are kayaking to the ship, and you know, you're thinking the whole time, you're like, oh, it's Katie's the one that did it, and you're going through this, you know, trying to avoid the crew that's on board, and you finally get to Katie, and you're like, oh, I caught you. And then chair turns around and boom, Katie's been tied up, duct taped, like it's not her, you know? And I thought that was such an exciting ending to the game that was so unexpected, and I wasn't, you know, ready for it at all. And what a great way to just tie up the whole story. Don't believe we've really ever had an ending quite like that up until that point. That was the first time they ever really did something so, you know, different with an end sequence to a game, but it was phenomenal. It worked so well, and it was such a twist in the story, and I think they did such a great job at implementing that into the story and the mystery. But overall, I think talking with, you know, Hilda, that was also a part of the story that I loved. I loved that there was this lady that was kind of like a, you know, isolated from the town. I mean, I felt bad for her for sure, but I'm saying like just the mystery of it all, you know, the eeriness of it all. There's this lady that watches you, that has been watching the town. She's the one that really, you know, noticed that there was something going on, and befriends Nancy because she can tell there's a little bit of her in Nancy and a little bit of Nancy in her. And I really just love that. There's this lady that we never get to really meet. We only get to talk to on the phone, but that makes it so much more creepier and mysterious, and I love it. And the game just, I think, has a phenomenal story and mystery. Does a great job of implementing past historical elements and having a lot of adrenaline, twists and turns throughout as well. So for me, the story and mystery, great job, and is fantastic. Okay, my fellow detectives, and the last point I want to talk about is the music, because the music is the punching point of the game. It's supposed to tie everything together all nice and really sell it to you. I mean, if you're in a tunnel, if you're kayaking at nighttime to a ship where there's thieves, it's the music that really tenses it up for you and, you know, amplifies whatever emotion you're kind of feeling from the environment and characters. You know, like if there's a sad story, you know, that's being told to you, it just multiplies 100 if there's sad music in the background. You know what I mean? So this game is one of my favorite soundtracks from the overall indie series, because it's so hard for me to decide what soundtrack is my favorite. Out of all of the tracks in this game, they have all got a different sound, but with good reason. Like, they're all just so good. And you know, I'm gonna kind of play the music so we can kind of talk about this one, but there's a lot of good just sleuthing kind of music, you know, when you're investigating and uncovering things. There's the music that's playing in that background, and I love that. I love that it's kind of making me feel like, ooh, I'm uncovering something, and as soon as I hear it, I am taken back to my 6-year-old self. I am just playing this game for the first time, and I'm like, ooh, like, you know, what is the stop meddling note, you know? And I hear this music in the background, and it just brings me back to that place. So I want to go ahead and talk about the absolute biggest and best dancing song in this game, which is Jig, because you cannot go wrong with Jig. I mean, oh, hello, okay, oh yeah. I mean, there's just no denying that you just have to jig to Jig. It's just so good. I mean, when I went to the Hot Kettle Cafe for the first time, I was like, I could sit here and listen to this and eat clam chowder all day. So, yeah, no, Jig is great, and it just puts you in that place. Also, some of my other favorite tracks from this game is Caves. I love when Caves is playing. It does make me feel like I'm uncovering something magical and mysterious. You know, I am finding a message in a bottle and I have absolutely no idea what it means. I am remembering all of those things, and I just love that there are lots of tracks as well that make me feel like I'm in an ocean. I also love the influences that these tracks have. You can kind of feel like a lighthouse or sirens or, you know, just some heavy influence of like oceany sounds, whale sounds. I feel like the theme was definitely threaded throughout these soundtracks. I mean, there's no denying that. They did an excellent job of that. And I also think some of just the danger tracks in themselves were really like, I don't know what's about to happen, but I'm scared. Especially at the end sequence of the game. The music does a phenomenal job, and usually that's the case with these Nancy Drew games. The music almost is always on point. You can't go wrong with the Nancy Drew soundtracks. They just about always hit it right where it's supposed to be. So yeah, the music, my opinion, it's great. After reviewing Danger on Deception Island's music, setting, mystery, characters, and puzzles, here is the final score. Thank you guys so much for joining my first Nancy Drew game review, Danger on Deception Island. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I thoroughly enjoyed talking and discussing this game in a more detailed manner. If you like it, let me know below, and also subscribe to my new YouTube channel. I'm so excited to be making these videos, and if you have any ideas or things you'd like to see, also let me know. Thank you guys so much for watching, and stay tuned for more.